Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'm trying to do this in order. I'm trying to make sure everything is very clear to people. See the description? I have to prioritize. And this vehicle parked next to me with the 7.7 next to it was some kind of modified Porsche. It was very significant, and I'm going to make a video about that in the next video here. What also is significant, well, why that was significant, because of the 6-6, right? There was the Palestinian meeting. It was the 66th meeting, and they put that in my feed. It popped up. And also the 66 in one of these shootings, one of these bullet markers, right? For whatever reason, they highlighted that specific marker. And the 7.7 vehicle pulls up next to me, right? And I've been talking about the mark of the beast, obviously, and the sevens in the book of Daniel, and so on and so forth. But here you see on the screen the knife that I pointed out. I said, I don't know why they put this knife by where I was parked. Okay, and I made a video of it. And it comes out in the news today, I just saw it just now, that her boyfriend Martin Mendoza, right, Marissa Dinapoli's boyfriend Martin Mendoza, has stabbed her in the back 5 times. Like the community, the world, the churches, they stabbed me in the back, so to speak. But the knife is very significant there, because I pointed out, I said, look, this thing is out of the ordinary. I'm going to go ahead and record this. And if you've been watching this playlist carefully, you see that these things that are happening are not a coincidence. They're the type of thing that you yourself would have documented if you were in my shoes, and you would have said, hey, these people are trying to send me a message like gang members and organized crime are known to, right? The Italian mafia is putting a dead fish on your doorstep, on your doorstep, okay? Or gang members, right? Killing people and hanging them naked in Mexico, or there's various messages they send to each other, right? When they kill someone, they often do something that reveals that they're the one who did it, to a rival gang or something. So this thing is very common. The government, the militaries of the world, they do the same thing, right? We've seen the Dog Pound album, where one of these Dog Pound albums where he says, Daz Dillinger, he says, you give that nigga that message for me. And of course, I, the one who Christ returning at the end of the Bible is superimposed on, am Christ, the messenger, right? Malachi means messenger, and my name, Malachi is a play on words for my name, going back to them wanting to see me as ill or something. And even right now, somebody looking like a blood gang member just walked by, and that's kind of rare in this video. And of course, I just made a video where I said, you could see me chest to chest. Dude wasn't in that great shape. He looks like he's doesn't look very healthy. Okay. Make a long story short, he didn't just step to me just now, what have you. Okay, and there's also a very suspicious red tinted out vehicle next to me. But I'm not moved in the slightest, If I get taken, I won't be the Bloods. Even if they use them, it will be the government. And I'm not a gang member, and I don't give a fuck about a gang member. I'm not moved in the slightest by that. Okay? Keep in mind that everybody's disrespecting me by cheating me out of my right to lead. Ask yourself, how many of you wear crosses, or go to church, or have a cross tattoo, or have some kind of holy, some kind of religious, rather, a bumper sticker or something, or how many of you get buried in a graveyard with a cross, and so on and so forth. But you're all cheating me out of my right to lead. Your churches are not tithing to me. Now, I don't care about money, but you got to understand the sheer disrespect that's being leveled my way. And right now, they're financially sabotaging my family. Okay, and I'm not asking for any money, but they're foreclosing on my house. I think they're in contract that, if I'm not mistaken, the house has been basically sold for all intents and purposes. I got maybe a couple more weeks here, and hopefully I won't be alive that long. So I'm prepared to die at the drop of a hat, People who don't know that I'm right about this, man, they're stupid, man. Also, keep in mind, the shooter in the Mellow Bucks case had some kind of, it was either dreadlocks or some kind of, gang-related hairstyle. So that this dude, I'll put him in the video if I remember. Matter of fact, let me cut this video short so I can find it more easily. So we'll leave it there. There's another video coming up soon. It's very key, arguably more key than this one. Okay, so it's important to note that there are Bloods in San Jose. I'm not moved in the slightest. They changed my voice trying to make it sound like this, that, and the other thing. If I was worried about it, I wouldn't be making these videos, would I? Okay. Knowing that these guys are collaborating against me, and I live in a place that's very fortified. Lots of guns in the house. If it ever goes down, I'm sure they'll hand me a firearm. It'll be a bunch of us shooting at them, you know, and having the kind of home court advantage. We Swiss cheese their ass, you know what I'm saying? So, and again, in person, I'm no slouch. Don't be surprised, if you step to me and you pose a threat to me and I'm crippled already, you try to attack me, that, I stab you up until you're dead. If you attack me, notice I didn't hop out in the car and say, hey, why are you coming around here? Da da da. I'm very disciplined. I have a lot of self-control, a lot more than police officers have. They usually shoot people at the first sign of trouble. I move very smoothly, very precisely, in a very respectable manner, very surgically. Okay, if there's not actually a threat, I'm not going to hurt anybody, basically. Okay, but if they come to my property or my parents' property and try to take me out or try to intimidate me, okay, then they're going to fucking get killed. Okay, I'm not with the bullshit. I don't play games. I'm the top martial artist ever. I'm the most serious and deadly person ever. If you compare my pictures before they edit them, or even some after they edit them with other people's pictures, those vice lords in Chicago, for example, they look like very serious gang members, very mean guys. You could tell that I'm infinitely more mean and deadly than they are. Okay? I'm not fucking around with anybody right now. I'm God's son. I'm set apart because I'm the person who does God's work while everyone else shrinks to fit. Because I'm infinitely tougher and infinitely smarter and infinitely wiser and more insightful than they are.